Okay, let's get started on some dishes. As you'll see, I still got that burn that happened while we were in Mississippi. The long story, I'll have to tell you about that another time. But I'm going to put some gloves to protect that and my rings while I'm doing my dishes. First, you'll see, I don't know if you can see it there, but here on this side of my stove, I still have some chicken that was left over from dinner. I think I'm going to get those stored away so we can have those another night for dinner. One of my favorite things to do, especially when the kids are pretty chill and defending for themselves, is to just throw on some old 90s country music. And I'm loving it right now. It tends to get me in the moment of being ready to cook, and just makes me feel like I'm ready to do things. So that's fun. Wow. I've not even gotten started yet. Um, I stayed up really late last night. Like I said, I'm a teacher. I teach first grade. This is actually just my second year of teaching. Um, and um, last year, even though I had a wonderful um, cooperating teacher for my student teaching, um, there weren't any spots for the district that I did my student teaching, and which is the district that I worked as a para before I got my certification to be a teacher. So I moved to a different district, which is a little bit further of a drive, but it's been a wonderful experience so far. However, all the curriculum was unfamiliar. I already didn't really know what I was doing as a teacher to begin with, being first year. And most days last year, I felt like I was fighting for my life. Um, it was quite an interesting year. I learned a lot. I grew a lot as a professional, as a teacher. But oh man, was it a lot? I spent a lot of non-contract hours in my classroom just to keep myself afloat to some degree, and it was a hard year for both myself, my kids, my husband. It was just a hard year, and so I committed to myself this year that while I understand that it's normal for teachers to work a little outside of their contract, I expect that. However, with a 30-minute drive to work, everyday school, the entire work day for me, school day for my kids, any extracurricular activities, and either going to the aftercare service that my school offers, or waiting around in the classroom with me. A lot of days we didn't get home until 7:30 at night, sometimes even later than that, just depending on what all was going on. And so I made a promise to myself and my kids that it wouldn't be like that this year. Um, but so this year, not doing that. I am 100% going to stay every now and again. I know there's going to be different projects and things like that need to be taken care of. However, it's not going to be a every other day thing or almost every day like it was last year. I'm not going to do that to myself. And so, again, like I said, I learned a lot. Garbage disposal. I learned a lot, and I feel like this summer, I've been able to study more of the curriculum and learn more about. I did a lot of reflection about what were pain points for me in my classroom last year and what things I want to make better. One of the things, especially being in a position where I had a mentor, my mentor was wonderful. However, it wasn't always enough, and she was just as busy as I was. And so it's hard to rely on another teacher to always be there to answer her questions and do things. So I respect her for what she did. She had 2 first-year teachers with her last year, and I'm sure it was quite a lot. However, we looking forward to the school year. I was able to work this summer and set up a lot of things that maybe I didn't have set up last year just because I didn't know. And so I'm hoping that I'll be able to address some of those pain points ahead of time this year, and address some of that after hour time that I had to spend last year. So look forward to that. Let's see. I heard a lot of districts are actually going back to school super early, like still like in July this year. Let me know about your local districts. When are you going back to school? We go back towards the end of July. Matter of fact, we'll only be in school for about a 2 weeks. Till we're off for Labor Day for a 4-day weekend. So, or 3-day weekend, mind you. So that'll be fun. I look forward to this year. New faces in my classroom, new challenges, new excitement. When I was growing up, my mom was a teacher, and so the back to school season was always a very big part of our life, in both getting ready to go and getting her ready for her classroom. And so I guess I'm carrying that tradition of being an educator. Now, you'll notice I'm older as a first year teacher. I had basically a whole career before I even got my certification. Years and years ago, I thought about becoming a teacher. However, I knew from my mom how things were with the education system and how they were changing. I graduated high school in 2001. There's my age. And at the time, it just wasn't something I felt like would be sustainable. And as we all know, teachers don't go into the profession to make money. Teachers don't make nearly the money that they actually should be making. We do it for the love of the kids and the call of the heart. And so I went into business administration and was just a few classes away from having my bachelor's degree in business administration, and with a focus in accounting. Had some pretty major life events that happened while I was trying to finish that degree, and it just kind of got pushed to the side, and I never finished it. But I was so close, maybe a semester in summer school or something. I was very close to being finished with that. Even then, I was still, maybe I should be a teacher. The teachers are needed everywhere. You can always find a job as a teacher. Not sure that's necessarily true anymore. But the world needs good teachers. The world needs teachers that feel that it is a call of the heart. So I said, no, Mom. Mom tried to encourage me. We even went and looked at the same university that she went to teaching school, got her teaching degree at, and I toured the education department there. And I really, really thought about going. So no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to get into the red tape that goes along with being a teacher these days, and just, kind of an old school kind of person. And the idea of having to abide by so many rules and regulations and laws kind of freaked me out, especially as a young adult. I wanted to be free, So I pursued my business administration degree, and like I said, the major life events happened, prevented me from being able to finish that degree, and went to cosmetology school. And while I was in cosmetology school, I met my now husband, and moved to Missouri with him. And so didn't finish that degree. Came up here and leaned on my previous education and college credentials in business administration. Was able to get a couple of good sales and business administration type positions, made pretty good money at one job. So did some sales, did some insurance stuff. So, I've been able to sustain a living since we've been in Missouri. However, there came a point where I was doing a sales job, and I was one of the top performers in our department. And the company, monetarily, I was able to earn the company. I was second monetarily in my department out of about 15 or 20 people, I believe. However, I was supposed to hit a certain number of sales and consultations, and I didn't hit that number. A couple months in a row, I'd been sick. I had some severe migraines, was in and out of the hospital with migraines and things, and I didn't hit those numbers, and so I was let go. And that was, when I was sick with migraines and not feeling well, I actually ended up finding out that I was pregnant with my daughter. And so due to the lack of being able to catch up, and again, I was pregnancy, there were some doctor's appointments, and I just didn't hit my numbers. And so I was let go 6 weeks before I had my daughter. And which is fine. It was their policies, and we didn't like it, but it was what it was. So my husband and I said, well, just stay at home while she's little, and when she's big enough to the point where we feel comfortable with her going to daycare, we'll look at going back to school or going back to work. And so that was the plan. I was going to stay home with her and take care of her, especially as a baby. And so that's what we did. It was hard. We had to certainly make our fair share of sacrifices in order to make that work. Thank goodness we had a small house. We rented a small house, and just didn't have a lot of financial responsibilities at the time, so that helped. And so then when she was 9 months old, whoopsie, if you will, we found out that we were pregnant with my son. And so we said, well, I guess we'll just stay at home until we have him. And then once he's in the world, he's a little bit bigger, we'll be going back to work. And during that time, we were still fairly new in the area of Missouri that we lived in at the time. And I just didn't know anybody. I didn't even know enough people to get good references for people for childcare. And so I told my husband, and he agreed that we should probably look at maybe like a church daycare facility or something to that effect, so we can do research, see reviews, and things like that. So that's what we did. At the time, the cheapest church in our area, or cheapest daycare that we could find in our area for the 2 children under 2 would have been like $480 per week. And, sorry, but we couldn't afford it. And so we made the decision that I would just continue to stay at home for a little bit longer until they were more preschool age, and then I could go back to work. So that's what we did. So we moved into our current place in 2020. It was right in the middle of COVID. And we got it at a really good price and had to do some work, but we do enjoy our place. Plenty of space, got a big yard. The kids have loved growing up here. It's a neighborhood full of kids and good people around. So we've really enjoyed living here for the last 6 years. And when the kids were little, Veda would have been 4 or almost 4. Yeah, no, Veda was already 4, and Dalton had just turned 3. And our local school district had a preschool that had some open spaces. I'm back. My daughter was asking me some questions. So anyways, she was 3, she was 4, and he had just turned 3. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. and the local preschool had some openings. The preschool that's associated with our public school district here. And so they had some screenings and they had some open spots. And my kids were able to move in our place in July, and we were able to get them into preschool in October. However, the only openings that they had available at the time were half-day preschool. And so they were going to preschool in the morning. So in order to figure out what we were doing as far as me and work and having an income and supplementing the house, I got a work from home job helping sell Medicare insurance. I know, not the most glamorous thing in the world, but it paid some bills and it got us where we needed to be. It sufficed for a couple of years, and I finally got to the point where the way my husband was working his hours and the hours I was having to work from home uh, with the insurance job, I couldn't handle both the job and then be productive there and the children at the time while my husband wasn't in the house, which he was working nights, and as he almost always has. And so it posed some issues. So we decided that we would look at some other options, but I was going to stay at that insurance job until we had something in time. I took it to the Lord that night, or during that time. I just said, Lord, just show me where you need me to be, where you need me to be. Excuse me. I've been here and there and everywhere else. I'm just so lost. I feel like I'm not doing anything that's productive and providing anything to society. You know, wasn't making a lot of money. What can I do? What can I do? And still be able to be the mom that I wanted to be here for my kids, you know. And I was propositioned by my son's 3-year-old pre-K teacher. She said, you know, they're looking for paras here at the school. I didn't even know what a para was, because in Mississippi we always just called them teachers assistants. We didn't use the word para professional. And it wasn't a lot of money, but it was the same schedule as my kids, and working in the same building as my kids. And so I applied for the job, and I got it. And I put the insurance as soon as I was able, and started working as a para. My first position in the para, or my position as a para, was in a 3 and 4-year-old early childhood special education room. And that environment was so much fun. My first few days, I was kind of shocked as to how much activity actually happened in an environment like that, and how much it took out of the teachers and the professionals and the caregivers for those kids. But oh my goodness, did they win my heart. I stayed in that position for 4.5 years, and it is because of that teacher, the other teacher that I worked closely with, and that culture and those kids. And I just said, yeah, I feel the calling. I think I'm going to go into education. So I found a program that I could take online. I did everything online. As I said earlier, I had like 2.5 years, or almost a full bachelor's degree in business administration. So they were able to take a lot of those credits, and it only took me a little over 2 years to complete my certification for being a teacher in Missouri. So, and I always knew I wanted to teach little ones. I don't want to teach bigger kids, because I don't want to teach bigger kids, especially in this day and age. And so I knew I wanted to work with the little ones. Initially, I was going to go out to kindergarten, and I was able to get certified K through 8 in a different state. But the state of Missouri, their early childhood or their elementary doesn't cover kindergarten. It's under early childhood. And so I wasn't able to get certified for kindergarten and below. And so the lowest grade I can teach is first grade. And first job I got as a licensed educator was in the first grade. First grade is hard. First grade is the first grade where the kids are actually having to learn standards, and they come in, some of them barely knowing their alphabet, and they leave being able to read books, and it's so rewarding. So I'm excited to get back to it and be an even better educator. I don't know how effective I was. They say that's normal as an educator to question if you did everything you needed to do for the students. So you do that every year. But I'm really not sure I did everything I needed to do for the students. I received lots of encouragement from administration and other teachers that I was doing fine and I was doing all the things that I was supposed to do to just keep going with it and keep learning, keep growing. So that's what I did. So I'm very excited to get back in the classroom and get my space reset. Sweating. Love is. This is a homemade non-toxic cleaner that I have been making for years. You'll see me with two different bottles. I have a brown bottle and I have a blue bottle. My brown bottle has Dawn in it. My blue bottle does not. I like to use the Dawn over here around my stove because it helps cut some of the grease and splashes and where it gets a little bit crummier over here around the stove. So he said over here, clean my stove off really good because I do use my stove top for some of my bread making objectives. I want it nice and clean and reset. May not be perfect tonight, knowing that I will be right back using it. However, I do want it reset. Went to the grocery store today and had to pick up a few things. I was out of all of my just standard seasonings, and so I had to run get a few things. And my son had drank all my milk that I bought for baking, so I had to get some more milk. And when I walked in, they had fresh, still in the husk, corn, sweet corn, for 25 cents per ear. They were good sized ears too. So I'm thinking, if I can get a few ears of corn, that's a lot of food for not a lot of money. So I brought it home. I do know how to shuck corn and take it off and all those things. I know my boy loves corn, and my husband and I both love corn on the cob. We could take it off the cob and just do whole corn, so lots of things you can do with it, and it's easy to freeze and keep. So I got 12 ears of corn, and I'm thinking I could cut it in half, and so that's 2 servings of corn. 12, that's 24 servings of corn, if not more. I'll take it. Okay, I'm going to move you around because I'm going to move over there closer to my stove. All right, that's not the best angle, but this is what we're going to, this is a casual video. Just hang with me. Got to get my stand mixer. Oh. This thing, if you can see that, look at this baby. It is so old. It needs to be maintenance, and that's something that I know nothing about really. Is what to do as far as maintenance for these large KitchenAids. I don't know. I've not looked up the serial number or anything, but I guess you could say I inherited from my father-in-law. He used to bake and make breads and stuff all the time, but he just kind of stopped doing it, got out of it. And so he told me, I told him that I'd like to learn how to make homemade bread, but I need a stand mixer to be able to make enough for it to matter. And he said, well, there's a stand mixer in there in my closet, in that closet over there. Just go get it. It's got the bowls and the hooks and everything. I was like, done. So I brought it home and I cleaned it up, and I have used it so much since the day I got it. So thanks, Pops, for making my dreams come true. Let's see. Just getting things set up here. I have one of these little, I don't have the most aesthetic kitchen, as you've probably seen, but I have this little Dollar Tree book bin that I keep all my little random doohickeys and whatnots that go in the kitchen. This is a hamburger press, meat tenderizer, so just a couple of things that I just like to keep close to me, but contained. I can't stand them just all over the place. So I'm going to take my paddle and my hook out. I think this can be moved because it's a steamer, it's a rice steamer. We never use it. All right. I need flour. I know I'm gonna need lots and lots of flour. Let's see. Get out my measuring spoons, measuring cups. Like to just have it all out here, just ready to go. I'm hot. So hot. I don't know if it's me working. Check the air conditioner. It's reading 78 degrees inside, but it's set at 73. So I know I've heard my husband say before that that's not a good thing. So I turned it down, and we'll see if that helps cool it off a little bit. If it doesn't, we might have an air conditioning problem. Yay! Isn't that fun right here in July in Missouri? Okay, thank you for joining me for my Friday night baking marathon, if you will. I've got a cup of coffee. I have my recipes. I just keep my recipes in this binder. I have some cards, but I like it better in the binder just so I can flip through it. To me, it's a little bit easier to manage. So my goals for tonight is 4 loaves of bread, 2 pans of rolls, 1 or 2 pans of muffins, and maybe a pan or 2 of biscuits. We'll see how it goes. I did read that homemade biscuits, you can flash freeze them and then store them in Ziploc bags, and they can stay in the freezer. So how cool would it be on school mornings to wake up and just pop some frozen biscuits in the oven and they're ready to go for breakfast? My son loves biscuits and eggs, so that'll be fun to play around with. I hope I can get to those tonight, but it just kind of depends on where the night's tech goes. I was wanting to start this project a little bit earlier. However, time got away from me. I had to recharge my phone and all the different things. So let's get started.